What happens if my speaking partner does not talk or talks too much? Do I fail the entire exam if I fail one paper? Over 40% of students fail the Cambridge B2 exam. And they fail not because their English is bad or not good enough. They fail because they completely ignored exam structure and, most importantly, what examiners want from them. So today I'm deconstructing the 10 most searched questions about the Cambridge B2 exam. I'll give you a detailed overview of the exam structure. I'll tell you how examiners really calculate your score. And in that process, I will be revealing exam hacks you need to take the exam with confidence and pass on your first try. And pay special attention to number 7 because 90% of candidates get this rule completely wrong and lose valuable points for no reason at all. I'm Tcher M and welcome to a new English mission. This video is part of a complete B2 First series. We cover exam strategies, essential vocabulary, and the secrets to passing on your very first try. Number 1, what score or pass mark do I need to pass the B2 First? This looks like a very simple question, but you would get surprised of how many people don't know what score they need to pass the exam. So to answer this question, I'm going to show you the official Cambridge chart of the different grades for different exams. As you can see, we have level B1, grade C, grade B, and grade A, okay? In order to pass the exam, you need a grade C. That means that you need a score between 160 and 172. If you're pretty much there, you pass the exam, grade C, okay? If you do better, you can get a grade B, which is between 173 and 179. With both, you pass the exam, only difference is your grade. So there's something important to consider here. Some people take the exam because they are applying for jobs or because their schools require them to have the exam or for whatever reason. So you pass with 160, but you really need to take into account what the institution that requires you to take the exam demands from you, okay? So you really have to bear that in mind. Question number 2, how is the exam structure and how long does it take? This is an obvious question as well, but you really need to get this right in order to get the best mark possible. The exam is divided into 4 different parts, right? We have reading and use of English. That is 2 sections in one, okay? In order to do both, you have 1 hour and 50 minutes. So you basically need like 20 minutes in the use of English, which has 4 different parts. That means 5 minutes per part. I know that sounds scary, but it is what it is. And then you've got the reading part. Of course, to read you need more time. So that's why I wouldn't say it's 40 minutes and 40 minutes because the reading takes time and sometimes you need to read things over again. Then you have the writing part. For this one, you have 1 hour and 20 minutes total. You have 2 tasks here. You have to write an essay, which is the formal task. And then you have the second part in which you have to write an article, a review, or an email. So it's much easier for you. Then you've got the listening part, which takes 40 minutes. It's 4 different tasks, 4 different parts. And then finally, you've got the speaking section, which you usually take in a different day. They arrange that for you. They tell you have to come this day at this time, and you're going to have a partner, probably a person you don't know, or sometimes if you have co-workers applying for the same thing, you might run into them in the exam, but I don't know, 90% of the time you are with a random person. So you have to go there that day and do the speaking part, which takes 14 minutes. And I would say this is a part where you can get the most points, okay? So you really need to practice your speaking. Next one, let's go to question number 3. Do I fail the entire exam if I fail one paper? For example, the use of English? No. The final score is calculated as an average of every section. Reading, use of English, writing, listening, and speaking. So each one of them is worth 20% of your exam. As I told you earlier, the reading and use of English are together in one section, but each one of them is worth 20%. Okay, so don't be afraid. And I want to make a pause here because it's very important that you know that probably if this is the first time that you are preparing for this exam, you are not going to get things right in every section. So you're not going to have an equal score in every section. So for instance, if you're not good at writing and your score is low, then you can balance that by having a good score in the speaking section and in the use of English section, right? Because you are better at speaking or memorizing expressions in English. So you compensate, right? And that's very important for you to consider, because most students say, oh, I'm not good at writing, I'm going to fail the exam. No, each part is worth exactly the same. So you gotta be smart when you prepare for the exam. Number 4, what is the difference between B2 first and B2 first for school? Okay, I get this one a lot. I'm going to make it very simple for you. They are exactly the same exam. They have the same parts, the same sections. The only difference is the topics. This is demographics. This is all demographics. So for the B2 first for schools, you're gonna have lighter topics such as sports, school life, hobbies, things like that. Things that teenagers are interested in and they can relate to more, right? On the other hand, in the B2 exam, you're gonna find topics such as careers, travel, workplace scenarios, things like that. Topics that are more adult oriented, but the level of difficulty is basically the same. Number 5, does the B2 first certificate expire? No, that's pretty good news for you, I guess. Opposite to what happens with IELTS or TOEFL, which expire in 2 years. The Cambridge B2 first is for a lifetime, okay? So you can show it off to your friends if you want, your whole life. However, there are some universities, employers that require you to have taken the exam within a time frame of 2 or 3 years. So once again, you need to be very careful about what the institutions you need the exam for require from you. Number 6, which version should I choose? The computer-based version or the paper-based version? Oh, we didn't have this complication 10 years ago. So as you know, now we have these 2 possibilities. You can take the exam on a computer or on paper. They are exactly the same. The only difference is when you're going to have your results back. So for the computer-based version, you usually get your results within 2 or 3 weeks, which is pretty fast. And for the paper version, you get your results within 4 or 6 weeks, which is longer. And when it comes to the performance, you have differences as well. When you take the exam on a computer, you will have the word count when you're doing the writing section, which is very useful because you can see how far you are from the goal of 140 or 190 words, right? And for the listening section, you will have built-in headphones. That's a huge advantage because you're not dealing with external noises or distractions. Opposite to what happens in the paper-based exam, in which you have a radio or a speaker playing the track and you have to deal with the ambience noise, with distractions. If the building you're taking the exam in is close to the street, you have the cars, you have, everything. Nevertheless, on paper, you also have the advantage of underlining things, going back and forth in the pages, especially when you want to make sure that something is correct. Number 7, 6, 7. What happens if I write over or under the word limit in the writing paper? Very good question. We were just talking about this. The official range of words is 140, 190. Okay? When you're slightly under or over, meaning 135 or 198, you don't have to worry about it because that's not penalized. But if you're significantly under that, let's say 120 or 110, you gotta be careful because usually the examiner is going to think that you have a lack of content and organization, and that is a serious problem. On the other side, when you are significantly over 190, let's say 200, 210, something like that, and this one is more for you, you risk making mistakes, misspellings, repeating ideas, and most importantly, exceeding the time limit. Remember that you have only 140 minutes to do the writing part. So you really need to make the best out of your time. Number 8, what happens if my speaking partner does not talk or talks too much? This question is a classic because I've got some students that get really nervous when they have the person next to them, sitting next to them, speaking almost native English. And let me tell you, you don't have to worry about it because that doesn't matter at all. Your score, your mark is individual in the speaking part, just like the rest of the exam. So if your partner speaks too much, you don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about what you say when it's your turn to speak, okay? So it does not impact on your score. On the other side, and this is one important hack, and please bear it in mind for your speaking exam, if your partner speaks less than you do, you can help them speak, and that will get you extra points. If they are nervous or if they don't know what to say, you can help them by saying, do you agree with me? What do you think about this? You can say things like those just to break the ice and make the conversation flow. Number 9, is American English allowed or must I use British English? Very, very good question. And let me make this very clear, both American and British English are equally accepted for the exam. The only thing that the examiners want is that you are consistent with the one you choose. If you choose American English, do everything in American English, okay? Let me give you an example with a sentence. I didn't realize that blue was going to be the color of the room. When you say it, of course, there's no difference, it's the same. But when you write it, as you can see, we have two different spellings. We have realize with the American spelling, and we have color with the British spelling. This one is what examiners are concerned about. So if you do this, like we have in this sentence, they are going to penalize you. So make sure if you choose American, you really go American. And if you choose British, you really go British. Number 10, how many times can I retake the B2 first if I don't pass? It's a sad question, okay? Because we all want to pass on our first try, right? But it happens. If you fail, you can take the exam as many times as you want. You can actually take the next date of the exam if you want. It doesn't matter. They don't care about it as long as you pay for it. That's the downside of it, that you have to pay for the exam. So there are some students that are also concerned about not having to pay the fee again if they fail. It's a financial problem as well. So you really need to take this into account. If you have more questions about the exam, remember to leave them in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe to the channel to keep seeing more valuable content on the B2 First exam. I'm Teacher M, and I'll see you in the next English mission. Bye-bye.